Hey, welcome back to another episode of Parkman and Khan Unleashed. And today we figured we have to jump on and talk about something that's happening in the news today. P. Diddy. Jimmy, you've had time to read about P. Diddy today?
I've read a little bit about it. I won't say that I went into depth. I got what they were doing and where it was and the different, there are just a tons of charges involving, anywhere from laundering money through his business to sex.
Well, they hit him with RICO.
Assault, battery, whatever. I read a little bit about what they claim that he did and this type of thing.
Well, I have a lot to say about this because,
I do too.
Okay, exactly. And that's why I figured what better person than to have one of the country's top lawyers talk about this, right? But me, as being a defendant in the past and having to see how the feds work and stuff, I read all the news articles. I listened to the press release, the press conference today, and I'm sitting there and, my biggest thing is having gone through the system, innocent until proven guilty, okay? And then even then, the feds, they just throw everything against the wall and they just try to poison the well, right, at this point. So now everybody in the world is talking about, well, Diddy got indicted. Well, yes, you can indict everybody. But I'm looking at right now is the charges they hit him with. And they were very creative what they did. They hit him with RICO. Because now they're going to go, because before it was like, if they hit him with sex trafficking charges or anything like that, okay, that's great. But now they're going to go after his money.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna.
Well, that was obvious through what they claimed was money laundering through the business. So they're after, they're after the business, and they're after
exactly.
They're after him.
Because everybody's like, okay, well, he's going to hit charges. He'll defend himself. No. You don't understand. This is a big game that they played. Now they're going to go after not only his freedom, but they're going to destroy his business, and they're going to take whatever's left of it and leave this man penniless. That's your goal. And also put him away for the rest of their life like they did R. Kelly. Because you got multiple counts of racketeering. You got multiple counts of conspiracy. You got sex trafficking, interstate commerce, and the big daddy, RICO.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They put everything they could. There was nothing they left out, I don't think, other than a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
They missed it, I guess. But, Now, I want to hit on something you said, okay? And I think this is important. And people may not like this because, I think a lot of people, I won't say most people, but a lot of people read the news and they go, oh, my gosh, look what he did.
Exactly.
Come on. And listen, I don't know the guy, never met him. I'm not taking sides, but I'll tell you this. This has been one-sided. This is a press release the government put out. This is without any input, by him or his lawyer, or, and they tie our hands to this too. I don't know if people know this. They think we can just jump in there and explain everything and give all the facts. Well, if you read the rules of conduct, professional conduct, it says we are limited on what we can actually say about a case.
Absolutely.
And that comes down to, has there been an indictment? Who's the name and what are the charges? And other than that, keep your mouth shut. Now, that prohibits, that ties our hand after they put in, they put in what the charges are, and then I go to an article that has in there everything, including what's in the indictment, about beating people and kicking them and this type of that type. Now, I don't, right now, I think you hit the nail on the head. He's innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely.
But most people don't look at it that way.
And that's one of my problems I have. And I said, I've been talking to a lot of politicians and stuff recently, and about reform. And, everybody goes at reform the wrong way. And I said, there's small things that we can do to change stuff. And one of the things I would love to see changed is that, when I was in Dubai, when they arrest somebody there and they charge somebody, they don't put the person's name in the press until that person is found guilty. All they would do is that somebody was arrested for this, this, and this, and this. When that person is found guilty, at that point, they'll put the person's picture in the paper and they'll say this person's guilty. So now what you do is, how does a man like Diddy, who is world famous, who has, everybody's heard his music, they've watched him on TV. How does that man get a fair trial? How does he? Well, because everyone knows about him.
Well, now wait a minute. You can get a fair trial. You can get one. Okay.
How do you get a jury that hasn't read about this yet?
Oh, well, I mean, you know, let me tell you what I've learned, and I'll say this, okay? We all think that everybody reads the news or listens to the news. They really don't. The majority of people, I don't think, pay that much attention to what's going on with the news, and that's what's.
Well, the problem here is
that's right. He is a music star.
Sensation.
He's a pop star.
Yep.
That's right. I got it. But on the other hand, you know, what you've got to look at as far as an attorney like me wanting to represent somebody like that is he also has a base through the years of people that love him.
True that.
So, I mean, you know, so you're looking at it from a standpoint of how can you get a, well, you're going to find people that, you know, like his music, like him, followed his career, saw what he did coming up, this type of thing. So, I mean, you know, it goes both ways.
Yep. Now, you know, one of the things I said last night, I made a post on social media last night. I said, for Diddy, you know, his life as he knows it ended yesterday because for the foreseeable future, life as he knows is different. People that used to associate with him won't return his phone calls. You know, right now, if he gets bail, you know, right now he offered $50 million for bail.
Yeah.
If he gets it, he's on an ankle monitor. He can only travel certain spots. He's going to have to check in with a probation officer.
Correct.
He can't live freely like he did. And who knows how long this case can take. This case is going to take years. It's not going to be resolved in 6 months.
Oh, no. There's going to be a lot of paperwork, especially if they've looked into his business. Now, let me tell you one other thing that was interesting. Okay? Now, what's true about it, I don't know. But I will tell you this. It looks true to me. And this is something the defense lawyer said. His quote was, "We came to New York to turn ourselves in."
Correct.
Now, they go to the hotel, okay, and get him out of his room. All the reporters out there. All the people in the hotel. Big splash. You know, that bothers me as much as anything else right there.
Because they want publicity. They want to beat their chest that we pulled P. Diddy out of the house. Well, you know my story. Obviously, you were
That's right.
My life forever. You know, one of my biggest things, when I was about to get indicted, and I knew I was going to get indicted, and my biggest thing was that I did not want these people to pull me out of my house at 6 o'clock in the morning in handcuffs. So I had, you know, my lawyers at that time contact the U.S. attorney and said, hey, if you're going to indict him, allow him to come and surrender.
That's right.
And they blew us off. They blew us off and they blew us off. And it got to the point where it got so nasty. And then I obviously left. And then when they raided the house, they raided the wrong house. But the press was outside. You showed up to my house at exactly 5:30 in the morning with the press in tow to embarrass me.
Yes.
Well, guess what I did? I flipped the script, and they got embarrassed because they raided the wrong house and didn't find me. And I was already in Dubai at that time. But that's what they did. The guy came to New York to surrender. You should have allowed him to come to, you know, the FBI headquarters and turn himself. But no, you still had to
It sounded like it was prearranged already. I mean, how would he have known about the indictment unless he had gotten a call or his lawyer got a call saying, we have an indictment in New York, you need to come turn yourself in?
Absolutely.
And so he flew to New York.
Yeah, and he came up there. I mean, you know, like right now, one of the other things that's bothering me is they said he's a flight risk, right? Well, when you raided his house 6 months ago, he has a private jet. He was back and forth. He also traveled outside the country, but he came back.
And he went to New York.
I mean, if he was a flight risk, he could have left the country 6 months ago. He could have said, I got a private jet, I can move all my money out of this country, and he could have been gone to Dubai or someplace like that or Panama and been living his life. But he came back after, so he knew you guys were looking into him. He can't be that much of a flight risk if he traveled to New York City to surrender. He traveled for the last 6 months. I mean, he's all over the world. We've seen pictures of him in, Miami and in where did he go? Caribbean islands.
Yeah, he went down the islands, and I think some of his sons or something went with him. I read that at one time, and nobody objected, and he came back, and everybody's happy, and then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to anybody, he's in New York. And here they come to the hotel at 6, 7 o'clock at night or whatever it was.
It was like 8 o'clock at night. It wasn't even early.
And
they came to New York to surrender.
Came to his room and go, okay, you're under arrest. Put the handcuffs on. Let's take you out.
Exactly.
Now, I would think that was prearranged, for him to come there, and then the next morning he'll go down and turn himself in.
Well, that's what his lawyer said.
That's what it looked like.
Exactly, and that's what his lawyer said, too, that he came here to surrender. So he knew about it.
Yeah. So they had to call him and say, hey, we got a warrant. And the lawyer had to say, he'll be here on such a date. We do this all the time. This is done. Well, and it saves the marshals. You wouldn't believe how much trouble it saves the U.S. Marshals.
Oh, I know.
Getting up and going down and doing it and picking you up and all that. We walk you right into the marshal's office and go, hey, how you doing?
They wanted the publicity. They got the headlines. For the last 24 hours, it's been a nonstop news thing.
Sure,
because everything Diddy.
Yeah.
Now, he offered $50 million bail package. He said, I'm willing to put up 2 homes and wear a monitor, and I will restrict myself to New York, New Jersey, and Florida. That's what it is. I mean, having gone through the system, that's a big bail he's putting up.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
What do you think? Do you think he gets bail?
Well, my opinion is I don't see why not.
Exactly.
Now,
it's not a
now, the charges, are bad to begin with.
The RICO charge is bad,
and all of them are. I mean,
that's true. Well,
trafficking,
but the RICO's the
funneling
one.
Money and hiding. It sounds like Now, they may say, well, this $50 million he's going to put up. For all I know, they're going to say, wait a minute,
ill-gotten.
Those are ill-gotten gains that he funneled through his business that were illegal, and therefore he bought the house. Therefore, we're taking the houses anyway. So
exactly, and
that ain't going to get it.
Because what they're trying to do, and if you don't pay attention, like most people don't pay attention to this, is what they did was they took a picture and they said, okay, here's how we're going to craft this. So he intimidated these women to have sex. And then what he did was he used the footage that he filmed to use it to control these people to make millions of dollars. So now that record sale or this sale or that clothing or whatever he did was all ill-gotten. So by the time they're done, they're going to say, well, that whole basket of bad boy entertainment or whatever the hell it is was ill-gotten. And it goes back so far that we have to do nothing but just take all of it.
That's right. We want it all.
And that's it. And that's what
we want the jewelry, the cars, the houses. We want everything to make up for all this.
Now, clearly, obviously, you're not his attorney, and
no.
But if you were representing him, what would you do?
Well.
Next.
Well,
the next thing you do?
The next step is to get him out.
Yeah.
That's the next step. And the best way to deal with that, and the easiest way, is you start with the prosecutor, and you go, look, there's no reason to hold him. He can be out. We can arrange certain terms. You went through a whole bunch of them. Okay.
Yep, of course.
And we can do that, and we can make sure that he's here, and the monitor that he wears. That's not as easy said as done, because they have to go out and survey the property. I mean, it is a pain.
Listen, but that's done in one day.
But that's done in one day, and that's where you would start, is with the U.S. Attorney, and see what their position is now.
Yeah.
Now, I'd say, look, y'all, you got your publicity that you needed with the arrest and everything. Yep. So, now let's I don't see a problem with that. Now, he would have to turn in his passport.
Of course.
That's done every time. That's no big deal. And
a lot of time they'll put chains on the jet. They'll take the jet and ground it. Of it. They'll say, hey, you can't use this jet because he'll have to turn it over or do something with it.
Oh yeah, they have to they can lock it down and make sure that it's not used. Although I've even seen them where they let them have the private plane. So
if he's going to travel, restricted travel to this and this, but there's a lot that's going to go into it. But it's not that hard to monitor the man.
No, it's not.
I had to wear a monitor for 3 years. I know how pain in the ass that is. And they know, I stepped a certain foot past like the boundary, and the thing goes off.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call like you're too far into your backyard.
You need to come back to the house. Have a nice.
They know, and if he cuts it, they know.
It goes off. Listen, the whole thing that's interesting to me about this is, I think everybody knew that this was coming.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay. I mean, it was written back months ago, right?
6 months, we knew this.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, they obviously don't think he's a threat to society.
They let him out there for 6 months.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Or that he's liable to, flee the jurisdiction because they just let it alone when everybody knew it.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it wasn't a secret. I mean, if P.Diddy had called me and said, look, have you read the articles about me? Yeah. What do you think? They're going to indict you, buddy. Hang on.
Yep.
It's coming.
Listen,
I mean, everybody knew.
We had this discussion. It's not hard to get an indictment. I mean, all they're taking is a bunch of stuff. They're throwing it together in front of 12 people and saying, you need to indict this guy because he did this, this, and this, and this. Of course they're going to give him an indictment. It's not that hard. Yeah. They've indicted people, and you're like, how did this pass? But indictments are the easiest thing in the world to get, and most people don't realize that. Like, I'm reading comments today online, and people are like, well, he was indicted. No shit. A lot of people were indicted, and they've been found not guilty of charges.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 9 indictments, and you got me found not guilty.
Yeah, I mean, and oh, by the way, I had this come up the other day in a bond hearing where I did the old, I've never said this before, but I kind of got aggravated. I said, look, Judge, a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, the prosecutor goes, well, Jim, I haven't had a ham sandwich in front of me, in front of the grand jury ever. I've never indicted a ham sandwich. And I said, well, maybe you ought to give it a whirl because the ham sandwich looks to me like he's more guilty than the client is that I got.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I hear that, and you're right. And, a grand jury, you said 12 is really 18 or above, 18 to 24. Yeah. But, I just think that a lot of times going to court, we miss the idea of you're innocent until proven guilty. You're innocent until proven. We miss that. We get in arguing about the facts of the case and the charges and should he be released or should he not, or should, is he dangerous? But that's the
media's fault.
Huh?
The media pushes it to be like, you're guilty as charged. Well, because he was charged, he must have been. Like, I read people, their comments all the time. They're like, well, the FBI wouldn't arrest somebody if they weren't guilty. Let me tell you something. The FBI has arrested a ton of people that weren't guilty. And those people, some people got off and some people had to plead because they couldn't afford to fight or they couldn't deal with the pressures and stuff like that. In this country, in this day and age, it is not hard to be tangled up in the justice system. It's not that hard to get charged with a crime. And then there's so many people that are sitting in prisons today that shouldn't be in prison, but they couldn't. Their circumstances didn't allow them proper defense. Yeah. They couldn't get Jim Parkmans of the world. They couldn't sit there and afford it. They couldn't deal with the pressure. They couldn't deal with the shame. So they said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna." Sorry, excuse my French.
Yeah.
Just plead guilty, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's sad, and I'm not saying one way or the other that he's guilty or not guilty. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's presumed to be innocent right now. People should consider that and take that with them wherever they go until that day comes that he has his day in court.
Absolutely.
Now, government witnesses have just talked to the government.
Yep, I'm sure. Look,
they haven't. Give you an example. They haven't been on that stand.
No, exactly.
Under a little heat, a little fire, And there's some things, too, that I think are going to come out. I believe it. That are going to come out that are going to be like, And
a lot of witnesses are going to end up backtracking, and a lot of witnesses won't testify, and a lot of witnesses are going to be made to be liars. So I'm going to give the audience an example, okay? So the last case that I had, okay?
Yeah.
So press comes out and everybody's online talking about he stole millions of dollars and he screwed me out of my car and he screwed me out of my car. And when it all came down to it, okay, what you read in the headlines and what I was actually charged with were two different things. Correct. And then all these people that did make some claims, most of these people decided to disappear when I finally came home, okay? And then the ones that were dumb enough, they actually sat there and continued to push and push and say, yes, I was a victim. My best friend's father, who had a $35,000 car that I had given him, he thought he can push the envelope and he'd get more money because I wasn't here, and maybe he can get an insurance claim or maybe he can get a tax deduction. And he had the audacity to go to the FBI and say that he lost $300,000. He sat there and said to the FBI for 10 years straight that 1997 Bentley Azure was worth $300,000. And I looked at my lawyer and I said, you should contact the FBI at this point and tell them that this guy is lying to the FBI. I said, isn't lying to the FBI a crime? So I said, what 1997 Bentley Azure is worth $300,000 today? The
only one plated in pure gold.
Yeah, I said the car was worth $35,000 if it was running. I said his car came to me and the car wouldn't even run. It cost me $20,000 to get it started. I said, and the guy's got a claim for $300,000, and the feds want me to pay $300,000. Yeah. And then there was a guy that went up there and he said he never got $1 from me, and his car was worth $100,000. And then my lawyer goes up and he says to him, he goes, "Do you sign this?" He goes, "Is this your bank account?" He goes, "Your car was a 2005. Your car was worth $50,000, and here you already accepted $40,000 in a wire transfer. You're only owed $10,000." Oh, I forgot about that. He goes, "Hold on, you forgot that you received."
I forgot I did that.
And he says this on the record.
I'm glad you reminded me of that.
Yeah, in this. So yes, people lie. People, a lot of people say, well, if you signed a formal document and you signed an FBI statement, you have to be telling the truth. No, people will lie.
Sure they will, especially if you're trying to get something out of it. And the key is they thought that would never be contested.
Of course, exactly. Well, that's in a nutshell. Most people think, I'll say whatever I want, and no one's ever going to question it. Yeah. Well, he's going to have his day in court, and he's going to put them on the stand, and he will be able to cross-examine and nitpick things. So
and maybe bring out some things that that ought to come just common sense. For example, like these women. I don't know anything about them, but my question, just as a common sense person, would be, why are you with him? How did you get with him? Where did you go? Why did you go?
And why did you keep coming around?
Yeah, why do you keep coming back? What's going on here? Those are things that you have to look at. And I don't know the answer. I don't.
Of course, we don't know that. And exactly. So there's going to be a lot of questions, and there's going to be a lot of other names that pop into this, because you can't sit there and say he did this all alone then, right? There had to be other celebrities. There had to be politicians involved. There were other people that were attending these parties.
I would say that would be pretty accurate. That if they don't have any, and I don't know what they have. They may have it locked down.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't know yet.
We don't know. But for right now,
his thing is he needs to get bail.
Don't jump to a conclusion until all the envelopes are opened and all the mail's looked at and everything's put on the desk. And let's see what comes up. Let's see what's there. That's it in a nutshell.
All the best to him. And, hopefully he gets bail and he can actually defend himself, because you cannot defend yourself by sitting in prison or in jail. And you know what? If he's watching, call Jim Parkman.
Well, I like his music. That's first of all, I like his music. And,
I got a funny story about him.
And plus, he's a pretty good looking guy. And he is. And he's a famous person. And with that comes people who want to be around you. Yeah, I would imagine. I hadn't been there, but I've heard that.
Absolutely.
I've heard that, and they want to be seen.
The moment you have fame and money, you're going to get all kinds of people.
You're going to
and then when they can't use you, they're going to defame you. And but before we leave, I got one funny story. So I bought his. This is like 11 years ago. I bought his Bentley Flying Spur Speed. Okay, it was a black car, and he bought his mother a new car, and so I took his Bentley, and one day P.Diddy's.
Oh, you bought his car?
Yeah, I bought his Bentley.
Did you pay $300,000?
No, at that time it was used. I think it was like $180,000 I paid for the car. Right, it was black with it was beluga with hot spur interior, nice, pretty Bentley. Okay?
I bet it was.
And I gave it to my wife to drive. So Stephanie's driving it one day, and she's out at the grocery store, and she calls me up and she goes, "Can you explain to me why I have P. Diddy's credit card in my trunk?" It was his American Express black card was in the trunk. When he gave me the car, he forgot to take
the credit card.
What?
Forgot to get the credit card.
He probably had to get this credit card back to him and stuff. So fun little story.
But hey, I bet did you get him to sign the dash?
No, we did not. No, we had the title.
Man, what's wrong with you?
Well, he did actually. Well, he signed the title. So
no. That's where you sign the dash and you put Sean P. Diddy Combs on the dash.
Yeah, I know.
That ups the value of the vehicle. See, I've seen that.
Exactly.
I've seen that on the auctions. Where they.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
they sign.
A lot of cars. Like there were some cars of celebrities that I had them sign the cars and stuff, and then there's cars you're like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. It's a Bentley. Move on to the next one.
Well, I bet it was gorgeous, though.
It was a pretty one. It was a flying spur speed, black hot spur done right. Turned aluminum dash, very nice.
I bet it was nice.
Something you'd like.
I would. So. We looked at that Bentley at the showroom.
Yeah, the Silver Lake. Yep.
And it was 7-8 years early. I mean, newer.
Yep.
And it wasn't. It wasn't but like 40,000. 45,000. I mean, come on.
Oh, they depreciate big time. I mean, you can get a used Bentley for cheap nowadays.
Oh yeah, but 300,000 for.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, they start at 300, and then next thing you know, you can be picking up a Bentley for 50 grand.
Yeah, but boy, they're pretty cars, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
I bet his, driving around. Well, ask Stephanie how it drove.
Oh, she loved it. She loved it.
See, yeah. And you put
I love Bentleys. I love Bentleys, but I have a problem with them now because I think they've mass produced them. There's too many people. Every soccer mom's got a Bentley nowadays. I mean, where we live in Vegas, it's like every Starbucks, there's like 3 Bentleys parked outside. And you're like, enough's enough, But anyway,
it looks like if you pay that much for a car, it looks like it's ought to make coffee.
Okay.
You know what?
All right. Yeah. I mean, listen. Yeah. You want to stand out. Like back in the day when Bentleys were new. Like when we were growing up. Okay. When you saw a Bentley, it was a big deal. You're like, wow, that's a Bentley. Nowadays, you just look at it like, well, that's just another car. It's just another day.
I had a friend of mine introduce me to a guy in Detroit. True story. And he had this brand new Cadillac. So what he did is the windshield wiper fluid. He took that out and ran a line down through the car right by the steering wheel.
Okay.
And he filled the fluid up where the washer
with
fluid
wine.
Vodka. And then he had this little spout thing down there that he would do, and he could just drink, and there was no bottle. It was all coming from hey, it's pretty clever.
That was pretty clever.
That's pretty clever. Coming all from the, from the washer fluid.
Who thinks of that?
Somebody that's thinking about how to drive and what to do,
Yeah.
Can't find a bottle in the car, can't find the liquor. I mean, it's all.
That's what you got to call AA for.
That's it. That's it. Great story.
Anyways, well, we appreciate you, Jimmy, for joining us today. And then thank you, everybody else that joined. We got a lot of episodes coming in, but we wanted to sneak this episode in before the others because obviously it's current news today.
It is, very much so. And and I wish the best to Sean Combs. I really do.
Same here.
I hope he comes out of it well.
Yep, hopefully. Listen, I never want anybody to go down. So
no,
hopefully
absolutely not.
So all the best.
Thanks, buddy.
Right.
Have a good one.
Jimmy. See you guys next time.
God bless you, buddy.
Take care. Bye-bye.